Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. Today we're going to be going through the Battle of Narbo Martius. That is the name of the settlement, or the city, or whatever that this battle is taking place outside of. So, this is the large army I have in the field. This was the army that I was originally sending to Spain to try and conquer the last of the Gauls over there, even though I wasn't actually at war with them yet. I'm actually still not at war with them. But then, of course, we had the Britons who betrayed us, and that was quite terrible. And now we are going through my deployment. Here's my deployment, and I'm going to be pausing here. Now, if you will notice, I will talk about this a little bit in future, but I don't pause that often when I'm playing, even in single player. I'll explain why in a moment, but I do pause this, kind of seeing where my allies are and seeing what the Britons are, and so I'm going to start advancing up fairly quickly because I don't want to have my allies, the reinforcing army, coming in. I don't want them to get too far ahead of me, and of course the AI is going to be fairly aggressive, as they usually are. So you can kind of see here I skipped ahead. This is my new movement, sort of, kind of new deployment, because I didn't really, I basically paused right after I started the battle. So we're just kind of see, and we're going to pretty much, just start advancing. Now, I will make a comment. Oh yeah, right. So I have my guys surround back because I saw the Britons were advancing towards me, and I didn't know how close to me they were going to come. So I kind of just had my guys pull back, because I didn't want them to kind of rush me while my guys are moving. I'd rather have my guys be, set up how I want them and be able to kind of micromanage them. Now, I'm currently fairly clumped up, but later on in this battle, before we actually get engaged at all, I will start to spread out my formation. I usually just kind of like to keep fairly close together because I don't know where I'm going to be sending all the different guys. And here right now you can see me just start breaking formation a bit and sending some guys off to the different sides. Now, I did want to comment real quick why I don't pause that often. Well, this is actually a kind of a bad habit, I will say, in terms of it's a bad habit when it comes to single player, because when you're playing against the AI, you should pause fairly often. Like, a good Total War player who's good at playing single player will always pause as much as necessary in order to play effectively. Now, the reason I don't do that very often is I also play not so much in Rome or Medieval 2, but I mainly played Napoleon Total War. I play multiplayer. I played a lot of multiplayer of Napoleon Total War, so that's kind of a habit I've picked up from that. Of course, when you're playing multiplayer against a real person, you can't just pause whenever you want. So it's usually good practice to try, and I find that it's very good practice when playing against the AI to just don't pause and just basically it teaches you, and it's good to, it kind of helps teach you and gets you in the mindset of you don't have the, it's kind of like it teaches you to not rely on pausing to be good, essentially. Like it helps to increase your how quickly you position your guys, how quickly you react and stuff like that. Right here, I start advancing my army up as well. I skipped ahead a little bit, and we're going to continue advancing into the main engagement against the Britons here. Now, the reinforcing army has not yet gotten properly engaged yet, so they haven't outrun me or anything, which is good because I didn't want the reinforcing army to get beaten up while I'm taking my sweet time moving up. But so, final comment on the pause thing. I haven't, so that's kind of just an explanation why you haven't seen me pause very often. Now, I do pause quite a bit in this battle, just because I kind of I knew, okay, this is a big battle, I didn't want to, screw up, and so there are a few times where I was like, oh, something bad's going to happen, so I paused real quick to try and, so I had time to do this stuff, because otherwise something bad could have happened. But as a general rule, I try not to pause, and that's just because it's good practice for multiplayer. If you're like me and you have any interest of ever playing multiplayer on any Total War game, doesn't matter what Total War game it is, if you're interested in playing multiplayer in any of them, you should avoid pausing as much as possible in single player, because it gets you into the right mindset and it helps teach you to react quickly, and it also helps teach you how to prioritize. If you don't have a lot of time to react to something, so if you see two things going on, you need to react to both of them. It helps teach you which one should you prioritize reacting to first, which one is going to be the bigger deal. And so just general rule of thumb, I try not to pause that much, but in this battle I did pause a few times, and again, in single player I do pause a fair amount. Usually I pause at the beginning of a battle, kind of redeploy my forces if needed. But anyway, enough of that. I just kind of wanted to do a little aside about why I don't pause that often. So now and here we go. We see me pause again, and I basically redeploy all my guys here. And then now we're gonna jump forward to after I finished ordering where I wanted all my guys to go. I should have actually probably left that in to show that. I need to keep that in mind. I probably should have left that in so you guys would see. But I basically repositioned all my guys while I had it paused, and now I'm going, and then I started again, and we're gonna charge in. Now we're charging the mercenaries in, partly because they're mercenaries, and I don't care if they die at all, because I don't plan on keeping them around after this battle. So we're gonna just charge them in. They're gonna be our cannon fodder, and we got most of the enemy line tied up in combat now. Mostly my reinforcing allies have that, but my two mercenary warbands did get a couple of the enemy units tied up. Now some of our allies are being routed, which is not great. We can hear the music picking up as well, which is nice. I really like the music for Total War games. Just a little side note, particularly Rome and Medieval are probably two of my favorite soundtracks. Anyway, but yeah, so here we are. We're kind of going to try and flank around. We're going to kind of pretty much flank around them pretty much. I'm going to charge the warbands in. Now, I send most of my cavalry off to go and chase after the enemy's one unit of chariots, because I pretty much charge them. Actually, I forgot, yeah. I send half my cavalry, my javelin throwing cavalry guys. I don't remember what they're called. I send them off. We're gonna go ahead and get engaged with most of our infantry. We send our mercenary cavalry in there to get the flank charge off, and then we're gonna send our other unit of cavalry off, kill the enemy general. That's great. And so, like I said, I pretty much got a kind of, it wasn't like a hard flank, it was more of just, I kind of got around the sides of the enemy a little bit, because they kind of started their engagement against my allies' army first, and then I kind of was able to, they brought most of their guys, shifted most of their guys to my right, where my ally was, and then I was able to extend, I had my left extended far enough that I was able to kind of enclose them and get that flank off right there, and that pretty much collapsed their left flank. Their right flank, it's on my left. Their right flank collapsed, and because my left was able to wrap around them like that. Right, always got to remember, it's inverse of whatever it is for you. Anyway, but you can see there's a bunch of enemy units right there in the woods. You can see, and that's when, yeah, we're basically gonna just get these guys. Now I do real quickly check on my cavalry. They're not doing too great. They've caused a decent amount of damage to the, and we lost our general, or the ally. The AI got our general of the garrisoned army in Narbo, Martius. They got him killed. But here we're gonna go. Pretty much my allied army, or the reinforcing army, I should really say, most of it is wiped out at this point. I believe some of them rally later on in the battle, but for the most part, they're basically out of the fight. So it's now just to me, but I've already killed or routed half the Britain army, so I'm not too worried about it, and I've taken very few casualties so far, because again, the reinforcing army took the brunt of the casualties. So here, we're gonna just kind of fight. Now, again, the AI didn't do a great job here, which, again, it's the AI, so it's kind of to be expected. But basically, what would have been more effective is if they kind of drawn back into the woods instead of charging out to meet me, and then they could have reformed their lines and then come at me. But as it is, they kind of just did a mad rush at me, and they do actually end up routing a few of my units here. But they basically just do a mad rush at those few units that I had clumped up there, and my reserve units come up and make pretty quick work of them. And yeah, they do route a couple units. They route one of the mercenary warbands and one of my hastati, I believe. I'm trying to recall. I don't remember exactly what happened. It's been a little bit, it's been a long enough time since I'm recording this audio from when I played this battle. I don't remember all the details. But here we go. These are some of my cavalry that routed earlier and reformed. So I'm going to have them go start chasing down enemy units, because I don't want I don't want to give any of their units a chance to rally. So I'm going to run down as many of them as I can with my cavalry, so that doesn't happen. Now we do have a little fight going on in the woods here. They have one unit that's at decent strength, actually. So we send in a couple of our units back here, as well as this mercenary unit, which I think was routing, actually. So I think they reformed after they routed. That, or I just left them behind there somehow. But yeah, like I said, we got our 2 units of cavalry here, riding down some of these routing units. Because again, it's always nice to take down the guys routing. But we've pretty much won the battle at this point. They have this unit left here in the 4th, and then they have a few other units that are kind of falling back, looking to reform. So you will see I go ahead and start advancing up here. And now, if you can see that unit of chariots right there. I was worried about them because I didn't want them coming in from my flank. However, I will be perfectly honest, I have no idea what happened to that unit because, as you know, like I see them there, I'm concerned about them. I reposition my units to make sure they're good. Make sure that they're good. I come back over there, look at this, and I'm kind of get focused in because you can see off in the distance right here, I just noticed a lot of the enemy army just rallied. You know, they stopped routing. And so I'm going to just kind of advance these troops up. I was trying to chase them down, but they were too far ahead of my guys. They had too much of a head start. So I get my 2 cavalry units here. I come back, check on my general, make sure he's safe. You know, okay, the enemy chariots haven't attacked me. Okay, everything's good. We're going to keep moving these guys up. And then we have our 2 cavalry units, which I also am going to be bringing out of the woods. You'll see that in a bit. But I honestly have no idea what happened to the enemy chariot unit. I think what might have happened is they got close enough to one of my units, one of my Hastati units that I had back guarding my general. I think they must have gotten close enough that I was able to use some of my Pilum because they routed. And I don't know how or what happened, but they routed, and I don't know what caused it. I'm just assuming it was some of my Hastati with their Pilum, but I honestly I don't know. So here we go. We're at the end of the video. We're actually at the end of this episode. This episode is entirely this battle. So there we go. That was just kind of skipping to the end there. I had sped up, but a pretty good battle, pretty good victory. But end of the episode. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check back for more Total War Through the Ages.